morning, everyone. This is Karen, and welcome to Coffee and Crochet episode 7. I am your host, Karen Whooley, and I'm really excited to be here. Last week, I am so sorry. I was called in to babysit my grandson. I had to leave really early Tuesday morning to be there. My daughter is working at night, and she is in her master's program. She had 2 papers due last week, and she had, with a 17-month-old, trying to get papers done is just almost impossible. So I was there all day during the day while she went to a coffee shop to do her paper and spent time with my grandson. I was really excited to do that. I got almost no crochet done while I was there, no knitting either. But I did make up for it when I got home. So when we get to projects, I'll show you some things. And this week is going to be a little bit shorter. I don't know if I've mentioned in the past that I am in physical therapy for my back. I get really tight, and today was terrible. I woke up with just my entire lower back stiff and stuff. And so my physical therapist actually handed me off to his assistant physical therapist. She's certified, but she's not a full-blown physical therapist. She's like a step down, but she can do a lot of hands-on things. And she literally released all the muscles in my lower back, my buttocks, my hips, and my regular physical therapist did the ones across my my belly, and I feel like a rubber band. One of the things they told me was when they do all of that, I'm not supposed to do heavy work. I should be sitting most of the day, drinking tons of water. And right now I'm standing. I feel like a rubber band. My legs are like wobbly like this. So I don't know, even sitting down, I feel wobbly. So I am going to try to make this a little bit shorter, but I'm going to be drinking a lot of water, and I'm going to be doing a lot of crochet and knitting today. I'm probably going to have a little bit of a morning to not only make sure this video is processed, but also do a couple things that need to get done, and then I'm going to go sit on the couch and crochet. So anyway, that's my morning. That's how I'm feeling. I've had a lot to share with you guys that has come in the studio. I missed sharing one of them last week, so you've got some new things, what's new in the studio. So first of all, I just want to remind everybody, this is the Thankful Shawl. It's not on sale right now, but on Friday, I'm having my Black Friday sale, and it starts from Friday and it ends Monday. And if you're on my newsletter, you'll be getting some emails regarding that, depending how I've got things scheduled. The very first one will actually go out on Friday morning to everyone. So, but this is my Thanksgiving shawl. This is Thankful. It was on sale all last week, and the coupon code just ended on Monday night. So it's not on sale, but I just want to remind everyone about this shawl. This is the last time I show it here. It will be in the cart. All my patterns are going to be 25% off starting Friday. So if you haven't gotten your copy, you might want to wait till Friday. Because they're going to be 25% off on Friday through Monday. I should mention too, my Black Friday sale is all patterns are 25% off. All books are 50% off, and that's both print and digital. And then, let's see, print, digital books, and then all of my classes. I have actually classes scheduled through March. They're all virtual classes. So if you go to my website and you click on learn and then do virtual classes, you'll see I have a whole bunch of classes there. Next month I have color work made easy. And then in January, I only have one class, and that's Tunisian basics. So if you've always been wanting to learn Tunisian, now's the time to register. I'm limiting all my classes to 15 people, because I'm finding that especially since I'm getting back into teaching virtually, I want to keep the class sizes a little bit smaller for the first quarter, just to make sure that I'm comfortable, talking to everybody, because my thing, if you've ever taken a class with me live, you know that I try to give every single person individual attention. So Tunisian Basics is up there. So that's 15% off. All my classes are 15% off starting Friday and ends on Monday night. Okay, so Tunisian Basics is in January. In February, I've got 2 classes. One is my beaded bling, which is the beaded bracelets that I do. I'm going to try to put pictures up for you guys too. The beaded bracelets, limited to 15. That has been a popular class, and it's the first time I'm going to be teaching it online, but I think it lends itself well to being an online class. So check that one out. Comes with a kit, so the price is a little higher because I send you a kit. I'll be shipping it like 2 to 3 weeks before the class starts to make sure everybody's got their kit. And then later in the month, I've got Tunisian entrelac, which is the squares that you see it a lot in knitting. I use the Tunisian knit stitch to do that. So if you don't know Tunisian at all, I recommend taking my Tunisian class, basics class in January 1st, and then take my Tunisian entrelac in February. And then for the first 4 weeks of March, I am doing my full 6-hour socks cuff down the crochet way class. It's an hour and a half every Friday from March, let's see, I don't know what the dates are at this moment. I want to say March 1st until I think the last one's March 22nd. I don't have the 24 calendar on there, so I am looking at this year's, and I know the dates are off by a little bit. So I believe it's the 1st because of leap year, and then the 22nd. And so that one is a 4-week class, but only an hour and a half each week, because I'm going to go through different sections of the sock every week. We're going to learn how to measure ourselves. We're going to learn how to measure whoever you're making the sock for, I should say. And then we're going to learn about cuffs and legs and heels and feet and toes. And so I always recommend starting with cuff down first if you've never made socks before in crochet. And then I will offer my toe up class later this year, or later next year. It's not 24 yet, Karen. You got to remember that. So all of those classes are going to be 15% off through the end of the Black Friday weekend. So Monday, Cyber Monday, it'll end at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So just remember, I'm in the Pacific time zone, so I end everything at midnight my time. So in the East Coast, you have a little bit more time if you forget to order something or want to get into something. But make sure you sign up for those classes because they're not going to be discounted probably that deeply going forward. So I probably will run another discount, but it won't be 15% off. And then the last thing I want to tell you is the Crochet Along, which is it's a full year Crochet Along. It's the Stitch of the Month blanket. I'm also putting that on sale for 15% off starting Friday. So if you want to get in on that, definitely check that out. I figure that's like a virtual class. So instead of doing a separate discount, I just figured it would be a 15% along with all my classes. So if you want to get involved with that, we've got a lot of signups already. That is unlimited, so you can sign up anytime. I've already started checking the community, and people have started to post a little bit there. I need to check again today and just see how things are going in there. But people are already starting to talk. In next month, I will talk more about, for the people who have signed up, I will talk more about yarns and things like that. But one question I have been asked about that, and I should mention that before I go any farther, is what weight yarn are we using? Now, I recommend a worsted weight because that's what I used when I originally set up this class back in 2004. But I have since set it up in such a way for this Crochet Along that you can use anything. So I'm going to show when the January module drops, it's going to include a video on how to decide how big your chain needs to be for any other weight of yarn. So if you decide you want to use fingering weight, I have someone who asked about fingering weight, which is odd to me for a blanket, but if you want to use fingering, that's great. DK weight, worsted. If you want to use lace, I don't think anybody's out there going to want lace, or sport you might want to use. If you want to use anything bulkier than worsted, I wouldn't go with a super bulky. I would stick with the bulky, and even that might be a little too bulky, but you can try it out and see what if you like it. For me, I don't like a super bulky blanket in crochet. If I was knitting it, it would be different. I might go with a bulky or super bulky, but not with crochet. It's just too much. So again, all patterns are 25% off. All books are 50% off. All classes and the Crochet Along are all 15% off. Everything in my shop is on sale starting Friday, November 24th, and it starts at midnight Pacific time on November 24th. So make sure you check that out. And so that's new in the studio. That's going to happen on Friday. But I want to show you some things that I got in the mail recently. I am not a huge Black Friday person as far as purchasing things, because I like to purchase from smaller businesses if I can. Every once in a while on Amazon, it's like the only place I can get my body wash that I'm supposed to use, because I use a special body wash, is only on Amazon. So I'll buy that if it's on sale during Black Friday. But other than that, I try not to use the bigger companies and go to the smaller companies. So the first thing that's new is it wasn't on sale, but I considered this my Black Friday purchase. And this is a set of yarn from Moonglow Yarn Co. And she's based out of Wyoming. I'll put a link to her website here. I have been following her for a very long time, and I've always wanted to order yarns from her. And this set finally, I had to get it the day it went live. It's called Polar Nights set. And here's part of it. This is actually 7 hanks of yarn. This is her Moonglow Merino DK. It's a superwash merino, 100 grams, 231 yards or 211 meters. And this is just the first 3 colors, and it starts with the darker color and it works its way lighter. This is Midnight Violet, Gumdrop, and then Saltwater Taffy. And then in the middle of this set, let me put those down here. In the middle of this set is her Marshmallow. So it goes to white, and then it goes from light to dark the other direction. And in this case, I'm going to pull these up here. There we go. It goes to a teal. And if you know me, I love blues, teals, all that stuff. And pinks are one of my colors that I wear, because look at that. I'm wearing teal right now. I'll talk about that sweater in a minute. But it goes to teals. So, but these are kind of my colors. I'm a cool. So it goes from the Winter Glow to the Nordic Chill, which is in the middle, and then the Polar Nights is at the end. So this set is from Moonglow Yarns Co. Okay, that's hard to say sometimes. If I believe she's doing a pre-sale on these now. If she hasn't done it now, it'll go live on Friday, because I know she's doing a lot of stuff on Friday. But you might want to check those out. This is DK. It doesn't come in fingering, unfortunately, but I do work in DK, and I actually have some ideas already for this entire set. I'm actually thinking this would be a really cool sweater set, and I might see if I can get some more of just the Marshmallow to be the base color, and then use everything else to stripe in a crocheted sweater. So stay tuned on that. That might be coming. So that's my yarn for the season. And then I was going to show you guys this last week if I didn't get such a quick call in to see my grandson, or to babysit my grandson. But I got this book called Exploring Tunisian Crochet, and it's from Lori Harrison, if you can see that. It's all the basic stitches plus all the basics plus stitches and techniques to take your crochet to the next level, and 20 beautiful wraps, scarves, and more. Okay, so This, I just recently put this on my recommended list of crochet books to put in your stash of books, or a bookshelf or whatever. If you like Tunisian crochet, I highly, 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 highly recommend this book. What I like about it is at the beginning, I'm going to go to the table of contents because that really will help me tell you what's going on in here. She has a section on getting started, and she talks about the hooks and the tools, the usual that books have. She talks about how Tunisian rows are worked. There's 2 parts to every row. There's a put the loops on row and a pull the loops off row, and that's traditional. That's how we talk about it for the most part. She has a foundation row. I haven't read it completely, but a lot of Tunisian designers call it a foundation row. I learned Tunisian so long ago that we never talked about it that way, so I don't talk about it that way when I do Tunisian, but a lot of people do. She talks about the stitch anatomy of a Tunisian, so like where the vertical bars are, where the horizontal bars are, all that kind of thing. She goes into the simple stitch, the edge stitch, which is the edge when you get to the very last stitch, how that works. The standard return pass, the bind off row. She talks about all that, and then she has a section on basic stitches. So in the beginning she does simple stitch, which is always the first stitch everybody learns, and then purl, knit, reverse, and full stitch. And then she has basic techniques, and she talks about increases, decreases, color changes, joins, finishing, and dealing with common problems, which is a great section. I kind of skimmed through that part too, but oh my gosh, so good. And then she has a section on venturing beyond the basics. So she's got other simple stitch variations, other stitch variations, and extended stitches. She's got intermediate and advanced techniques, which are like working in the round, using a magic ring, Tunisian cables, crochet Tunisian in the round, and a stretchy bind off, which is a different bind off, which is actually really cool as well. And then how to read a Tunisian pattern is the next section, which has, like the difficulty level, all the basics, notions, all that kind of stuff. Most crocheters know what you need and the tools and how to read a pattern for the most part, but Tunisian's a little different. So it's nice to see that she has something like that in there. And then she has 20 patterns. And references and resources and all that stuff. But what I really like about this book is, I'm going to show you, here we go. Every step of the way, she's got photos of what the instructions are telling you. So here, this is another one, a page. So she's gone over and above with the pictures of how to do things. She's got pins that point to different parts of the stitches. She talks about her bind off row. I'm going to try to get through. She talks about color changes. And see how, everything is so well photographed too. Beautiful photographs. She talks about sewing pieces together in Tunisian. She's got a whole section on the variations, and then I want to show you some of these patterns. Hang on. So here, look, this is a cowl that's done in color blocking, and it's really cool because that cowl actually is worked in pieces, and then you add on. It's kind of like what my entrelac class will teach you, but in a different shape than squares. So there's that. But there's another one I want to show you. This one looks almost like it was knitted. This ridgeline of the scarf. And she's got a waterfall shawl. This one I wanted to show you too, where she's got drop stitches in there. But there's one shawl I really wanted to show you guys, if I can find it. That's not it. Where is it? This one. The Vista shawl. Isn't that gorgeous? This is done in the style of, not the actual stitches, but if you know Drea Renee Knits or Andrea Mowry, she has this shawl called Find Your Fade. It's that type of construction. So I have always adored that shawl as a knitter. So here's a better picture of it. It's got that I call that a rib or a backbone that goes through the middle of the shawl. And I love that technique. I haven't designed with it yet, but I love it. So I just wanted to show you that one because that one is amazing. Here's a cabled scarf. She's done some lace work with it. It's a shawl. That's another shawl. She's got fingerless mitts in here, a hat. Here's another cowl that's really pretty. Look at that cowl. That's really pretty. So if you are interested in crochet, I will link to this book in my show notes. It will be in Amazon because I am an Amazon affiliate when it comes to that. So if you're interested in this book, I will link it at the bottom. That's where I got this one. I tend to get all my books on Amazon because they do offer, you know, especially if you pre-order a book like I did with this one, if the price drops before it goes out, I'll get it for a little less. And normally, believe this also is available on ebook. I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe. But books like this, I tend to want the actual book. I don't know about you guys, but are you guys more of a tactile person where you need to have the book in front of you? You'll make photocopies off your printer if you want to carry a part of the pattern with you somewhere and don't want to bring the whole book with you. That's what I tend to do. I'll use the book. I like to have the physical book. And there's very few. There's a couple of dictionaries that I did as Kindle, and I think I might end up buying them in print because I just need the book. But if you're interested in the ebook, I believe there is also an ebook version of this. But this is beautiful. Look at even the shawl on the cover is gorgeous. It uses two colors and a bunch of different textured stitches. So if you're interested in this, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. There's some parts in here I still need to read through, but what I've done, I can already tell you, it's a massively wonderful book. So that is what's new in the studio. So let's move on to personal projects. Okay, so my first personal project is actually a finished object. I'm really excited. I need to block it still, but this, and it's really big on me because this is a hat for my son-in-law. He loves beanies, and he is a neon pink person. He loves neon pink. So this is actually knitted. It is using the sock head pattern from Kelly McClure. And I didn't make it slouchy because the sock head hat is a slouchy hat. And I shortened this from the fold of the brim to where I started the crown decreases. This is only 7 inches. So, and the crown is another 2 inches, so it made it 9 inches. But because it's such a long brim, he can adjust how he wants to do it. And I actually bought some of those, they aren't here yet, but I bought some of those leather screw-in tags that you put in that are double-sided to put on here. One side says made with love and the other side has a heart made out of yarn on it. So I'll put that on here so he'll always know where the front is. But again, it's not blocked, but it's finished. When I came home, this was the first project I finished. I finished it Saturday night. So one Christmas gift is down. And then I'm almost done with the second one. This is for my son. I think I showed you guys this before. From Mode Knits. It's Stars Hollow Stories. And it's the Gilmore Girls colorway. I only have one color left on this one. I just started the 5th color though. There's 6 colors based on the Gilmore characters, and I just pulled out a stitch, so I'm going to put that back in and then pull that out so that I don't lose it and untangle everything. But this is for my son for Christmas. I bought this yarn in Loveland, Colorado at Interweave Yarn Fest this past April, and he is such a Gilmore Girls fan, but he also sweats a lot. And even though he lives in Seattle, he doesn't like a whole lot of really hot things around his neck. So I made this with a lacy ripple. I don't know if you guys can see that. I've got to block it, obviously. You can see that this particular ripple wants to skinny up. It's going to be about 9 inches wide, maybe 8 inches, about 8 inches, I guess. It's fingering weight yarn. And what I've done is I have alternated with this gray, which is from Montana Crochet. It's her Boulder colorway. I can't remember what the name of the color right now is. I want to say maybe it's pewter. Anyway, this gray. And then I did one of the minis, and then I did more gray, and then I do another mini, and then I do gray. And I kept them in the order of how they're listed here, so that when he can say, okay, that's Rory, that's Luke, that's Emily and Suki and all that kind of stuff. And I can remember, so I can tell him which one's what. But he loves the Gilmore Girls. Oh my gosh. So this I think he's going to love. I'm hoping that I'll finish it tonight because it doesn't take me that long. There's only 49 stitches per row. It is fingering weight, so I'm using a size E crochet hook with this, a 3.5 millimeter. And it's a ripple stitch that I like when I need something really fast. It's a 16 stitch repeat. I may create a scarf pattern in another yarn with this particular ripple because it's such a fun ripple stitch. So you might see that, but otherwise this is just a personal project. Really excited. Okay, so note to self, I cannot put my keyboard in front of me because if I accidentally hit it, I stop recording. So sorry about that, but I'm really excited about this scarf for my son. So we're going to go ahead and move on. I do want to talk about, since we're talking about personal projects, is my sweater. I cannot remember the name of it, and I couldn't find the pattern before I got started with the video. I had to record the video. It's like really big on me now. I made this about 3 or 4 years ago. About 3 years ago. And I've lost weight, so it's really big on me right now. This is a knit pattern. It's from Expression Fiber Arts, the pattern itself. I made it in, if I can find a picture of the pattern, and I'll link it, and I'll also put a picture up here. But I made it in Barocco's Vintage worsted weight yarn, because that's what it called for, was worsted. It's in a teal, obviously, and then it's like an oatmeal color here. I'm wearing it today because it's so cold, and you can see it's falling off my shoulders now. And if you looked at the rest of my body, if I could show you the rest of my body, it's huge on me now. It wasn't this big when I first made it. I am considering ripping it out and remaking it in a smaller size. There's very good possibility that'll happen, but I was so cold this morning I had to put it on. Obviously it's not my pattern, but I had to wear it because it's so comfy and warm, and I'm feeling really cold today. So I will put a link to this pattern in the show notes as well. Okay, so let's talk about comments. I'm not going to do a topic of the week, but I am going to address some things that people asked about last time's. I talked about weaving in ends, and I am going to actually do a full-blown topic of the week next week. I was planning to do it today, but because I'm still feeling really rubbery, I'm trying not to show it on camera. And part of this is that they said I was going to have like flu-like symptoms, like the cold chills and the hot flashes and stuff, and I am getting those. So I'm going to try to cut this short. But so I want to get to the comments. All right, so the week before, I had shown you my shawl, the Thanksgiving shawl. I think it was the first time I showed it to you guys, or yeah, I think it was the first time I was going to show it to you guys. So there's a couple comments on that. Everybody was saying what a beautiful shawl. Ellen at Senko Farm. Hi, Ellen. Said it was absolutely gorgeous. And then I had Frances, who told me she loves the weaving in ends method. I've always zigzagged around the back. Your way is so tidy. I'm converted. I'm so excited that I converted her. And then she says her husband's great-grandmother was blind and used to crochet, because we had a story about being legally blind. Linda's aunt was legally blind and was still crocheting into her 90s. So Frances was commenting on that. My husband's great-grandmother was blind and used to crochet. My mother-in-law recalls staying there and having to sort out colors so that Granny had a blanket that was nicely colored as well as beautifully crafted. That is so cool that she couldn't see the colors, but somebody else could, so she could just do the stitches and then have this beautiful blanket. That is so neat. Thank you, Frances, so much for that. Sarah Dawn Designs says, oh, now this was perfect timing. I'm currently weaving in ends on a giant scarf, knitting, not crochet, but still the ideas are about the same. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad I could help you, Sarah Dawn. I'm so glad you were able to watch and that it gave you a different way to weave in ends for that. Sharon SK Hoyt 6024 says, I will try your weaving method. I usually weave in my ends in all sorts of directions, and in my Afghan squares where the colors change frequently, it's harder to go down rows without getting the ends into another color. I'm curious if you do it the same way when the pattern is more open and lacy, like in your Home of the Brave shawl, which I still need to finish. We'll do it. I'm glad you're doing this, the Home of the Brave. Make sure you post a picture of it when it's done. I'd really like to see it. And then when my pattern is open and lacy, I still do it down the edges of the rows. I always try to change colors in that case on the edge, because there's usually some sort of selvage on either end of a lacy pattern. Usually, at least my patterns have that little selvage, so there might be 2 or 3 stitches there rather than just start the lace immediately, and that's where I'll run my edging. If I'm working something in the round though, I still go down through the rows. You just have to maybe diagonal it a little, or you have to you might have to go across a little bit to get to a spot that's more full, but you just don't have to jump that far, so it's not going to buckle everything. But I still find that going up and down is so much better on lacy work than going side to side. And when I have something that has multiple colors, like that blanket I showed you in the last video that I did for my grandmother, that's the ripple stitch, I just, instead of going down once and then back once, I'll go down once, come back up, and then I might move over a stitch and then go down and then go up. And that will, that'll lock the yarn in as well. You also mentioned that I sent out a newsletter and you didn't get it. And I was going to tell you that I did notice that you were one of the people that bounced. That has since been fixed. That was something with my software, and that's okay. You should be able to get my Black Friday email. What's really cool about my software now is that they use multiple IP addresses, and every once in a while, if there's too many people sending on the same IP, a few people will bounce depending on who your email service provider is. If it's Gmail or Verizon or Comcast or whatever, those people will block or something. So I had very few people bounce. I think I had a total of 4 people bounce for that reason. So they've already changed my IP address. So when the Black Friday things start coming out this week, you should be fine, Sharon. Okay. Ellen said, I've been dyeing up a bunch of wool in various yardage amounts as playing with the dyeing. Very fun. Going to make a large couch blanket, I believe. Was thinking magic knots thought. Okay, so I have used magic knot. Magic knot's not something I use all the time. I use it very specifically with certain types of yarns. I never do it if it's heavier than a fingering weight. Anything heavier than a fingering weight, you feel the knot. It's not hard to hide. It gets caught on things and stuff like that. Next week I'm going to do a video for you on the magic knot. But just so that you know, I do use magic knot, and the only time I use magic knot is if I am using a gradient fingering weight mini set, or even if this was this Moonglow yarn would have been a fingering weight and I wanted to change colors in the middle of a row or something, you know, or I want to use every scrap of the yarn, let's put it that way. I want to use every scrap of the yarn, and I am missing, you know, it's gonna, you know, maybe 3 rows into the shawl or something, and I want to change color. A good example of a mini set that I would recommend doing a magic knot on is Schmutzerella Yarns. I'll put her link in my show notes as well. But Schmutzerella there's no one who dyes like Schmutzerella when it comes to gradients. Her minis are set up in such a way that you can go from one mini set to another. Maybe she'll have an extra mini that she'll dye up that smooths the way through to the next mini set. But if you look at my shawl, a Queen of Hearts, that was done with 2 mini sets and 1 full hank at the very bottom of the bright red, because I needed more of that bright red to finish off the shawl. But I started with black, or not really black, it was like a charcoal black. And it went from all that to light gray, and then it went from a grayish red to the bright red gray, or the bright red, I'm sorry, not bright red gray, bright red. I have magic knots all over that shawl, and that's because I wanted to use every last bit of that yarn to get the shawl the size I wanted it to be. And the magic knot in the fingering weight does not show as much, and I was able to tuck them into the double crochets. So next week I will show you how I do those. I promise. I just can't do much more video here today, so I just wanted to let you know that magic knot, depending on what you're going to do, can work, and what your weight of yarn is. I'm just not a fan of anything over fingering weight, just because you get a little extra bulk in there. Let's see, here we go. Frances also asked the question about the magic knot. She said that she's seen a video on magic knot, and a lot of people talk about them. Are they safe, or would my project come undone? Do they work with knitting and crochet, or only crochet, as it won't run like knitting? Interested to know your thoughts. They frighten me, as all I can imagine is my beautiful project unraveling. Yes, that was my first thought too when I first learned about magic knots. I'll be honest with you. You can do it in both knitting and crochet, not a problem. I know a lot of knitters who use them. In fact, was a knitter who showed me the magic knot years ago. And if you ever buy yarn at the store and you find a knot in the middle of the yarn where you have little tiny tails, but there's a knot there holding it, that's usually a magic knot. And those knots, I mean, unless you cut the tails too short, they would unravel. I am one of those people, though, who leaves long tails when I make a magic knot, and then I weave in those tails along with everything else. I just use the magic knot to join the yarns. I also use something called the Russian join, and I will do a video on that as well on another podcast. And Russian join also is another way of changing colors. And I like Russian join a little bit better than magic knot sometimes, because it's splitting the yarn and the fibers are holding themselves in space. So I just wanted to, mention that's another way you can do color changes or yarn ball changes in the middle of a project. And I do that with Schmutzerella Yarns as well. And then Just Me and Crochet, she commented on my community post telling you guys that I was not able to be on the podcast yesterday. And she said, I'm wondering where you were enjoying your grandson. They grow up fast. And they really do. And thank you for mentioning, for telling me to enjoy my grandson. I really did. I was really tired at the end of it. My mom used to say that there's a reason we're young when we have our children. And even though I'm only 56 years old and I feel like I'm a young grandmother, 17-month-old is very busy and very active and wants to be lifted and carried and this and that, and he's heavy. So I was so exhausted when I got home. I slept like a rock that night when I got home. So, but thank you for that. He's my buddy, and I love him, and I'm so excited he's part of my life. Okay, so that is all I have for you guys today. Please, if you have a crochet story, I'd love to hear it. So make sure you post it in the comments if you've got one, or you can email me at comments with an S at KarenWhooley.com. That'll also be in the show notes. You can find me at KarenWhooley.com. If you need anything, just let me know. I'll be around. For those of you who live in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. I'll be praying for you guys this week. My family will be here. My daughter, my grandson, my son-in-law, and my son are all coming into town. We're not having our dinner until Saturday because my daughter has to work Thursday and Friday. So we're having our dinner on Saturday, but my son will be here supposedly tomorrow night or tonight. So, and then he's staying until Sunday morning. So I'm really excited to have family in town. But for all of you, I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for watching my podcast. Thank you for being a supporter of Karen Whooley Designs. I could not have done this for the last 25 years without any of you. And I appreciate you. And will be in my Thanksgiving prayers this whole week. I'm doing a very special prayer thing. So I am praying for everyone every single day, and I appreciate it. God bless. Have a beautiful Thanksgiving for the Americans, and I will talk to you next week, and I should be here. Bye now.